Alright, now I'll talk about scene management and teleport. So we're going to go to the scene folder and double click to open the first scene. Here we go. So once our character picked up the gun and he found the way out, so here's the exit door and we want to load the second scene. Okay, so here I'm going to go back to the model and here I'm going to bring in the exit sign here. I'll create a new folder, exit. Then drop the exit sign in here in this folder and we're going to right click and create a new material and I'll say exit 1 material and I'm going to apply this material. So here I'm going to select this door, metal door, and I'm going to right click and create a new plane and move it out. It's kind of distorted, so here I'm going to change it to 5 and I will rotate it in this direction. So here I can just put it at 90 and I will scale it down. So here we're going to make a sign and I'll drop the exit sign material to here. Okay. So for the material we can try different type of material. So here we can go to the legacy shaders and apply a self-illumination and diffuse. So it'll be self-illuminated, right? And then maybe I'll just move it forward a little bit. And then on this plane, let's rename it exit. Right click on this plane and we're going to go to 3D the light and a point light. Okay, and for this light we can bring it out and we can get the color as red. Okay, so it looks like there's a sign there to illuminate the environment. Okay, and once our player entered here, I want to jump to the second scene as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so I'm going to go to the script. I'll drop in the trigger node scene 1. Here's how the script looks. Once you enter the trigger, you're going to go to the scene management. It will load a scene which the index number is 2. Right? So here I'm going to go to the scene folder and first I'm going to create a scene here and I'll rename it to main menu. Okay, and you can double click to open it and here I'm going to go to game object and UI and I'll create a text and you can press the canvas and press F key to focus on it. Here we go. So for the text, we can bring it up to the center. Okay, and we can come here. We can write main menu. Okay, maybe a little bit more. And for the font size, I can do 20. And here for the text, I'll also name it to main menu. Okay, so this is our main menu scene, and then go back to scene 1. Right? And we're going to go to the build settings. Here I'm going to drop the main menu in here, and index number will be 0. And scene 1 at here, which is the scene we currently open, so the index number will be 1. And scene 2, which is the forest, see here, the index number will be 2. And if you have different order, you can just grab one of them and switch the position, so it's going to change the index number. Alright, and close it. And I'll go to the exit here. Press F key, focus my view on it. And I'll create a game object, a 3D object, a cube. Okay. And I'm going to make it bigger. So this will be the trigger for us to not technically not open the door, but will simulate open the door and jump to the second scene. Okay, so cover this area, and we can check off mesh render and maybe shrink it a little bit. We don't want to cover the outside area. Okay, and then for mesh box collider, check on is trigger and go to add component and add to node trigger node scene 1. Okay, and for the source, we're going to drop our first person controller. So once the first person controller enter this trigger, you're going to node scene 2. Index number is 2. So let's save and let's play. Okay. See? So now we are in scene 2. Okay, here's one thing. For the first scene, I haven't picked up a gun, but as I jump to the scene 2, now I have the gun, right? So what I want to do is, I want to update this script. So before our character pick up the gun, this trigger is disabled. And once he picked up the gun, now you'll be able to teleport to the second scene. Here, let's rename this cube as node scene trigger. Okay, and we'll select the gun pickup trigger. Here's it. So once we pick up the gun, we'll be able to go to the node scene trigger and enter a different scene. So here, we'll open the gun pickup script. Game object. And here we'll say node scene trigger. Okay, and then here we can just copy this part here. Node scene trigger. Okay, so basically when we enter this gun pickup trigger, you're going to turn on the node scene trigger. Alright, and make sure to save this script. Okay, here as we update the script, here we'll have the node scene trigger, and then you can just drop the node scene trigger here. Then here we can just come back to the node scene trigger and turn it off. And then once we enter the gun pickup trigger, you're going to turn it on. Okay, another thing I want to do is I want to define what object can trigger this trigger to happen, because we don't want any object enter this trigger and then will activate the function, right? For example, if the zombie accidentally enter this trigger, it will trigger this function to happen. That's not good. So we only want the player to be able to trigger the door open and pick up the gun. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the first person controller, and here I'm going to tag it as a player. Okay, and then I will go back to the script here. Okay, so I'll add the function, I'll define it here. So if it is a collider, the object entered here and collide with our trigger, and here I'll say collider and collision. Okay, and then here I will add a if statement. So if the collision, the object that entered this trigger, if it's a transform tag is player, make sure P is caps lock, so that is the tag we have. So if the object entered it and the tag is a player, and then we'll process this function. So here we're going to add this sign to include it here. Okay, so if this statement is true, and then process this part. Alright, and then here I'm missing a S transform, and then make sure to save your script and then go back. Okay, see, let me show you. Here if I check off the tag as untagged for my player, and then as I test the play, I'm able to open the door but not be able to pick up the gun, right? Okay, so that is how it works. And then if we are the zombie or enemy character, we will not be able to trigger it to happen. So we have to tag our player, tag as player. Okay, and same thing for the, for the door, trigger door open script. So we can open it. Okay, and for the trigger door open script, and here we also want to add this same function. So we're going to do collider condition, and underneath that we're going to say if, we'll add a if statement and condition transform tag if the tag is player, and then process the following part. So we're going to include this part. Okay, and you can save this script and test. So here, if I untag my player and if I try enter this door trigger, see, I'm not able to open it. If I tag it to player, everything should be fine. Alright? In the next video, we're going to create a function that allows the enemy character to be able to kill the player.